Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Vedanta Society, Berkeley, I welcome you all to this evening's special lecture program, which will be delivered by Swami Sarvapriyananda. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Swami Sarvapriyananda, my brother monk of Ramakrishna order, as the speaker. I convey my thanks to him for accepting our request to deliver 2 back-to-back lectures at Berkeley. I am very sorry if moving the venue has caused any inconvenience to you. We made this decision based on increased number of attendance and registration. We did not want to deprive anyone from this special lecture. I am grateful to the authority of the First Church of Christ, Scientist, Berkeley, our next door neighbor, for allowing us to hold this event in such a short notice. Also, organist of this church, Mr. William Lutke, has kindly agreed to play the wonderful pipe organ this evening. Many thanks to him. He will be playing tomorrow also. I don't think that Swami Sarvapriyananda needs any formal introduction. He has his own credibility because of his extraordinary oration. He is the minister in charge of Vedanta Society of New York. He is the befitting head of our New York Center, which was founded none other than Swami Vivekananda. And it is the first Vedanta Society. Even it was founded before Belur Math. Swami Sarvapriyananda was posted in USA in 2015 and became the minister in charge of the Vedanta Society of New York in 2017. This evening, Swami Sarvapriyananda will speak on 5 verses on enlightenment. He will be delivering 2 lectures on the same topic, part 1 this evening and part 2 tomorrow evening. Without much ado, let us all join hands to welcome Swami Sarvapriyananda.
Om Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good evening, everybody. It's wonderful to see so many people have turned up and this magnificent venue. I also must thank the church for letting us use this venue for today's lecture and tomorrow's lecture too. Now, when Swami asked me to deliver these two lectures, I was thinking, what should I talk about? Of course, Advaita Vedanta. What else shall I talk about? But you need a vehicle to convey this. So I thought I could select something which I can easily cover in 2 sessions, and yet would convey the essence of Advaita Vedanta. So I selected what is called Manisha Panchakam, the 5 verses on enlightenment by Shankaracharya, composed about 1400 years ago by Adi Shankaracharya. By the way, an interesting little anecdote you will enjoy. Right now I'm having an interesting time. This year I'm not in New York actually. I am at Harvard studying, as I'm a student again for 1 more year. Studying philosophy, different things at Harvard for 1 year. And right now I am studying 2 courses, among others, 2 courses. One is on Indo-Tibetan Buddhism and one on the Upanishads. And they are together, one after the other. On Tuesdays from noon to 3 o'clock, 3 hours of Tibetan Buddhism. No self, void, emptiness, the emptiness people. And from 3 o'clock to 5:45, we are doing Upanishads, which tells you the self is everything, it's absolute, non-duality, you are existence, consciousness, bliss. So I was telling one of the professors, just imagine my whiplash. 3 hours, no self, shunya, shunya, shunya. Immediately after that, purna, purna, purna. One day, I was just near Harvard University, just walking down a narrow lane towards the Harvard yard, and I came across a Tibetan Lama. And then he asked me, what are you doing here? I said, I'm studying here and I'm studying your philosophy. And then he said, oh, but you are a non-dualist, an Advaitin. I said, yes. You know, it's the same thing. I said, thank you. And then he said, there is this text in your tradition which I use when I talk to people who visit my school. He has a little monastery in Cambridge. So I teach them, it's the 5 verses by Shankara. I said, Manisha Panchakam, 5 verses on enlightenment. Yes, that's it. He uses those to teach Shunyavada, the doctrine of emptiness. The background to these 5 verses is an interesting story, oft quoted. Even Sri Ramakrishna, he talked about this story. The story is, we know, Shankaracharya, already his disciples were beginning to come. He was in Benares at that time. And one day, he was going to the Ganga for maybe a holy dip. And the narrow lanes of the holy city of Benares, very narrow. He's going with his disciples. And from the other side comes this rather terrifying looking figure. What a caste-bound hierarchical society it was. So this was a Chandala, a man evidently from the lowest rungs of society. And this man comes in front. In some accounts he's holding the leash of 5 dogs. In another account he has a load of meat on his back. Whatever it is, he comes in front of Shankaracharya, and Shankaracharya, or in some accounts one of his disciples, tells this man, step aside, apasara, step aside. Don't you see His Holiness is going to his daily ritualistic bath in the Ganga? Step aside. Shankara says, step aside. And this Chandala, he confronts Shankara with these words. Revered sir, whom are you asking to step aside? This body from that body? Both are bodies. How is your body better than my body? It's just body. Or are you asking consciousness to step aside from consciousness? Again, both are consciousness. Annamayam annamayat. Athava chaitanyam chaitanyat. From this physical body, impure, Your physical body is also physical body, impure. Or consciousness from consciousness cannot be separated, and it's the same one existence, consciousness, bliss. So he is quoting Shankara back to Shankara. Your philosophy. And Shankara immediately bows down to this Chandala, saying that one who has such wisdom is my Guru. Let be whatever birth, caste, whatever it is, be a Chandala, be a Brahmin, but such a person who is enlightened is my Guru. And he bursts out in 5 beautiful verses, the 5 verses on enlightenment. And in these 5 verses, he conveys the essence of Advaita Vedanta. So that's what we will do. A lot is condensed into this, a vast amount of non-dual wisdom. And we know that Advaita Vedanta is based on the Upanishads. So Shankara's commentaries on the Upanishads, Shankara's commentaries on the Brahma Sutras, Shankara's commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, these form the foundational texts, the so-called Prasthanatraya, the foundational texts of Advaita Vedanta. But he wrote a number of other texts and shorter texts, easier texts, hymns, and texts like this, the 5 verses on enlightenment, containing the same message. So what you get here is what you get in the vast ocean of Shankara's commentaries on the Upanishads and the Gita and the Brahma Sutras. So, without further preliminaries, let's get into the text itself. Don't worry too much about the text. Don't worry too much about the Sanskrit. Sometimes people complain. When I was in Hollywood, in our center in Hollywood, we had this gentleman, an American gentleman, who complained about too much of Sanskrit. So we had this system. He would sit at the back, and when he felt too much Sanskrit, he would wave his hand. So I would stop, and I would have to immediately translate everything I said. But that's it. I just use the Sanskrit only once in a while. I'll translate everything, and you don't need the Sanskrit. But it's good to hear the sound of the original. It's the language, beautiful language in which Shankara wrote 14 centuries ago. Here's the first verse. Jagrat swapna sushuptishu sputatara ya samvidujrimbhate ya brahmadi pipilikanta tanushu prota jagat sakshini saivaham na cha drishya vastu iti drida prajnapi yasyasti chet chandalo vastu satu dvijo vastu gurur ityesha manisha mama. What does it mean? In our waking, dream and deep sleep, that consciousness which unmistakably, continuously flashes forth, which is the same consciousness in all beings, from the highest of the gods to a little ant crawling on the ground. That consciousness which is the witness of this universe, that I am, not an object. The one who has such wisdom, has complete clarity, complete conviction, complete realization of this, such a one is my Guru. Let that person be a Chandala, belonging to a Chandala caste, or a Brahmin, whatever it is. Such a person is my Guru. I bow down to this person. This is my understanding, Manisha Mama. This is what I have understood. And he goes on like this. But here is the essence of the teaching, of the non-dual teaching of the Upanishads. Today, this morning, they have a whole conference on non-duality, science and non-duality. So I was saying there, here I have got 2 sessions, today and tomorrow. There I had 20 minutes to tell them everything that I'm going to tell you today and tomorrow. So I said, these people, the Upanishads, after that Shankara and others, these are the original sand guys. Science and non-duality guys. What is the teaching here? Consider our waking experience. The entire teaching of Advaita Vedanta, one thing to keep in mind here is, it's a very radical, unique kind of teaching. There is a particular kind of spirituality which is based on belief. I am telling you so, the holy books tell us so, the great masters tell us so, and so it is so, you have to believe it. This is not like that. It's not like that. It's based on our experience and on reason. There is a certain kind of spirituality which says that the goal is to, some place else, a heaven, a Vaikuntha, pure land of the Buddha, whatever you call it, a perfect place which you have to attain, some other place, or even on this earth, a Benares or a Mecca or Jerusalem, some other place, holiness, spirituality is attained there, but not here. There is another way of talking about spirituality, then, that spirituality is separated from us by time, not now, after death, a post-mortem spirituality. After death you will see God. I saw a big billboard when we were driving along, big billboard, after death you will see God, rather ominous. So, it's there. We are not even saying that's wrong, but this is not like that. Here, the spiritual journey is not a journey of through space. You go from here to there. No. What we are going to talk about here in Advaita Vedanta is right here. It's not a journey in time, after death, after samadhi, after a great meditative experience, after here, right now, right here. Not even an other. You see, when we talk about, sometimes we talk about God as an other. I am this, and there is something, some other reality, other than the self. No, not even an other. Right now, right here, you yourself, as we are right now. If that is so, then the problem is, then what kind of journey is this spiritual journey? If it's not a journey in space, that we understand, from here to there. If it's not a journey in time, that we understand, from now to then. If it's not a journey from the self to the other, that we understand. That one I will realize, that one I'll have a vision of, that we understand. If it's not that, then what kind of spiritual journey is being talked about here? It's a journey from ignorance to knowledge, from not knowing to knowing, from not realizing, from not seeing to seeing. A truth which is present here. See, when you get enlightenment in Advaita Vedanta, enlightenment is, it's not that we realize, oh, I was a suffering, insignificant, little sentient being, a jiva. Now I am Brahman. Before enlightenment I was that. After enlightenment I am existence, consciousness, bliss, Brahman, whatever you call it. No, that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is, I realize I was always this. I never saw it. So it's a journey from not knowing, not seeing, not realizing to realization, to seeing, to catching what is always present, always shining at us all the time. How do you do that? Not in rhetoric, not just by believing. Actually they will show us and we will see. We've got time today and tomorrow to attain enlightenment. So let's see. Now, I can't guarantee that enlightenment, but what I can assure you of is that if we attend to what Shankara is saying in these 5 verses, we will leave with a clarity about what Advaita Vedanta is telling us. And that, believe me, that's a very great acquisition. That's something really worth having. A clarity about this. It's interesting. Why is it interesting? What's the most interesting thing in the universe? We must admit, I, me, myself. And this is about you. This is about us. This is absolutely about you and nothing else. So that's why it's interesting. Now, let's go into it. The first verse. Shankara is telling us, consider our waking experience. How do we experience this world in our waking world? Notice that we see many things. Let me take an example. You see here a book right now, if you see. Remember, all that we will do, all that Shankara is asking us to do and all I'm asking all of us to do is just to listen and to relate it to what we are experiencing now. Just to listen and notice, is this true? So what, we see many things right now. We experience many things throughout our day. Here is one experience. You are looking at a book. Experience 1. Here is another experience. You are looking at a piece of cloth. Experience 2. Here is another experience. You are looking at the microphone. Experience 3. You are seeing 3 things. Now, let me give an example here. Each of these 3 things is lit up by the same light. That light which is shining here, when I show you the book, it is that light illumining the book. When I remove the book and show you the cloth, it is that light which is reflected of the cloth and goes to your eyes. When I show you the microphone, it is that light which is reflected from the microphone and goes into our eyes and we see the microphone. One light, object changing, light unchanging. Our experience changing. Book experience is different from cloth experience. Cloth experience is different from microphone experience. 3 experiences. Why are the experiences different? Because the objects are different. This is one object, this is another object, this is a third object. The objects are different, but that which lights up these objects, that's the same light. That has not changed. You will say, yeah, get on with it. We understand what you are saying. But notice, that's exactly what is happening to us throughout the day when we experience various things. The experience, you are constant. So from you wake up in the morning and smell the coffee and you get ready for office or school and you go out of the house, you hear so many things. You smell, taste, touch, see so many things. All of them are lit up by the one same consciousness which you are. The same awareness, I'm using the words consciousness and awareness indiscriminately. Same awareness, consciousness, because what he uses the word here is samvit. Shankaracharya uses the word samvit, which means awareness or consciousness. The same unchanging light-like awareness illumines all the facts of our experience throughout the day, throughout our waking day. Think about it. Every experience, whatever you see, awareness is illumining what you see. Of course, there is the object, there is a light coming from that object, entering the eyes, and then somehow from the eyes, it goes like little tiny bursts of electricity in our optical nerves to the brain, and there somehow, the operative word is somehow, nobody knows yet. Up to the brain, up to the neurons in the brain, scientists can track with increasing precision what's going on there. But from that point, to you, the conscious entity who says, I see a book in Swami's hands. How did that happen? Nobody knows. Especially if there are neuroscientists here, you will back me up by saying that really that's true. That point, one neuroscientist said, it's like the miracle of water into wine. We understand water. We understand wine. But water into wine, that we don't understand. The biblical allusion to that miracle. I remember seeing a cartoon of some graduate student maybe doing a lot of equations, and his guide is standing next to him. And the equations are in 5 steps. First step, second step, third step, lot of mathematics. Fifth step, lot of mathematics. Fourth step, it says, a miracle. And the guide is telling the student, I think you need to work on the 4th step. So how it happens we don't know, but we have an experience of seeing a book. This is called the hard problem of consciousness. How neuronal, physical activity is suddenly transformed into a first-person subjective experience. That is the whole problem. Anyway, and then next you see another thing, a cloth. The object has changed, the activity in the nervous system has changed, but the same consciousness illumines it. And then you see something else. You hear a sound. You smell coffee maybe, you taste coffee maybe. All of these experiences are all different from each other, and yet they are all illumined by you the awareness. Then what happens? After some time we fall asleep. and in our sleep we dream. Maybe you dream of going to a park or seeing people, and there are different kinds of experiences. Now, what Shankaracharya here is saying is, in all those experiences, which are definitely dream experiences, definitely in the mind, projected by the dreamer's mind, notice one thing. It is the same consciousness which gave us the experiences of the waking world. The same consciousness continues illumining our dream experiences. There is no break in the consciousness. The contents of the consciousness have changed. The entire state, the waking state, which was illumined by consciousness, that has gone now. The distinction is our sense organs are shut down. We are lying in the bed, we are not aware, we are not actually physically seeing anything, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching anything. No. All of that is happening only in the mind. That's what we call a dream. Only in the mind. But Shankaracharya is saying, I am not interested in that. I am interested in the fact that consciousness continues to illumine the contents of your dream. This is an interesting thing about Vedanta. When we talk about the three states of awareness, waking, dreaming, deep sleep, the moment you talk about dream and Vedanta, the first thing that people have is Freud has spoiled all of us. So the first thing is, I dreamt this. What did that mean? I saw this. What did that mean? What is the meaning of this dream? Your analyst might be interested. Your therapist might be interested. Shankara is not interested. He is not interested in the contents of our dream. Oh, really? Then what is he interested in? He is interested in you, the dreamer, not in what you are dreaming about. Sometimes people get shocked at the attitude of an Advaitin. Somebody went to a monk in the Himalayas and was talking to the Swami there about his problems. And the monk shot back to him, snapped back and said, I am not interested in your problems. The man was shocked, how cruel is that? I am not interested in your problems. I am interested in you. I am interested in you. What does that mean? See how a little gap opens up between you and your problems. How a little gap psychologically opens up between, I am not my problems. I am interested in you. The same consciousness continues in the dream state, unchanged. And then the dreams also cease. The mind also goes to sleep. Earlier the body and the physical organs have gone to sleep, sense organs. Now the mind also goes to sleep. No more dreams. Deep sleep. Blank. At this point somebody might say, so the consciousness has gone. In deep sleep consciousness has gone. Consciousness is absent. Advaita Vedanta does not see it that way. According to Advaita Vedanta, in deep sleep consciousness continues. It is only the mind which has shut down. What is deep sleep? It's an absence of the objects of consciousness, not of consciousness. Why does deep sleep feel like nothing? Because there is nothing to see, not that there is no seer. It's very simple. It's like this. When your eyes are open right now, hopefully they are. Now I know the Swami was telling me how difficult the traffic is from San Jose and big day at office, and then you drive all the way, and Vedanta talk is soporific. It just puts you to sleep. Eyes are open, you see so many things. Now just for a moment, try it. Let's close our eyes. Nothing, blank. But can we say that we are not seeing? In one sense, you can open your eyes now. In one sense, the eyes are exactly the same. They're functioning exactly the same. We've just put a little lid of skin over it. So the objects are shut out, but the eyes are still seeing. What else have you done to the eyes? Nothing else. Similarly, consciousness keeps on shining. There is nothing to be conscious of. Sense organs are not working, so no information is coming from outside. Mind is not working, no dreams to see. Blank. Not even the fact that I am sleeping. That's still the mind. That's also shut down. So Advaita Vedanta treats deep sleep not as as an absence of experience. Rather, deep sleep is an experience of absence. There was a famous philosopher here, Larson. He passed away last year, Gerald Larson. He was an expert in Sankhya philosophy. I remember I saw him in Calcutta, and there was a conference on consciousness studies, scientists and philosophers. They couldn't come to any agreement. Now, Professor Larson asked a neuroscientist, Professor, answer this. In deep sleep, according to neuroscience, is there consciousness in deep sleep? And he said, no. The way we define consciousness, now that was then. Now I'm reading papers, they are admitting there is a basal level of consciousness continuing in deep sleep also. Anyway, so the scientist said, no. The way we define deep sleep, there is no consciousness in deep sleep. And Professor Larson said, according to Sankhya and Vedanta, in deep sleep there is only consciousness. This is what does it mean? Only consciousness? Consciousness without an object of consciousness. That's why it seems to be nothing. Another person gave a very beautiful example about deep space. Sunlight is coming through deep space and then coming to the earth and illumining the earth. A bright day, blazing bright, especially in California. Now, in between the sun and the earth, if you look at space, it seems dark, black. It's full of light, but there is nothing to reflect. If a comet comes, we see a beautiful tail of the comet because it reflects the sunlight streaming through space towards earth and it shines there. Similarly, without any objects, we feel there is nothing to see. I am unconscious. No, you are not. In deep sleep, Shankaracharya says, consciousness continues. Jagrat, swapna, sushuptishu. Jagrat, waking. Swapna, dreaming. Sushupti, deep sleep. Samvid ujrimbhate. That consciousness which unperturbed shines forth continuously without a break. All changes, suppose you say, no Swami, that does not seem to be right. In waking, in the morning, I feel very alert. Afternoon, not so alert. And at night, I feel completely tired. So I'm sometimes more conscious, more alert, sometimes less conscious, sometimes I feel no consciousness at all. This difference is not a difference in consciousness. It's a difference in the mind. The mind can be fully alert and active, just like a healthy body, energetic. Or the mind can be tired and drowsy. But the tired mind is lit up by the same not tired consciousness. That consciousness, you are. That is what Shankaracharya is saying. Sputatara, unmistakable, blazing forth, most clear. We are not, Advaita Vedanta is not talking about something very abstract, very subtle. Sometimes it is subtle, but sometimes I think we do a great disservice by keeping on hammering on the subtlety of the Atman or Brahman or consciousness. People think that, it's too subtle, too abstract, nothing. This is a concrete world. It is more concrete than this world. One person who is considered to be enlightened in Himalayas, he was asked that, do you think, in Hindi they asked, this Brahman you experience, what is it like? Brahma kaisa hai? Is it something very subtle? Is it a concept? Is it some philosophical understanding? Some kind of mystical experience? The words he used were interesting. This monk, in replying, he said, if you know what you're looking for, you will see this universe is packed with that reality is without any break, without any interruption. It's an absolutely unmistakable reality shining forth all the time. I'm trying to use English words. Those of you know Hindi, he used the words thasa thas bharpur. Everything is packed without any kind of interruption or gap by that one divinity everywhere. Sputatara. The Kena Upanishad says, what is the sign of enlightenment? When in every experience you realize that one existence, consciousness, bliss. Pratibodha viditam matam. Pratibodha means in every experience of seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, spiritual thought, secular thought, whatever you're doing, the same divinity shines forth everywhere. Then you are enlightened. Then you see. Not rhetoric. Think about it. In every one of our experiences, isn't consciousness shining forth? What else is shining forth? When I show you many things in this world, so many flowers and a cloth and a book, isn't it only one thing that is coming to your eyes? When you see a flower, is the flower going into your eyes? God forbid, you have to call 911. What happened? She saw a flower. No, it's the light which goes into your eyes. When you see a book, it's not the book which enters our eyes. It's light from the same light. When you see a piece of cloth, same light is going into our eyes. All that we see, everything that we have ever seen in our lives and which we will ever see in our lives, the only thing that actually physically enters our eyes is light. In the same way, just as when you see all these things, you are actually seeing light. When we experience anything in this universe, in every experience in the universe, it is we the awareness, the consciousness, the samvit which is shining forth. Shankaracharya says, Putatara. How does it shine forth? In every experience of waking, dreaming, deep sleep. It is consciousness alone which is revealing the content of that experience. Whether it is actually physically seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, or mentally dreaming, thinking, remembering, desiring, loving, hating, consciousness, or just blank, nothing. Today in the SAND conference, I was having a conference with this spiritual teacher who lives in Berkeley. He's a philosopher, scientist, and spiritual teacher, Hamid Almas. So he was asking a question. If Brahman is all that exists in Advaita Vedanta, then why all this? You see the question? Existence, consciousness, bliss, this samvit, pure consciousness, if that is the only thing, why do the objects of consciousness appear? Why duality? Why does it appear? Now I give an answer. Just see what you make of that answer. This is an Advaitic answer. What are the two possibilities? Suppose Brahman is there. Now one possibility is only Brahman is there and nothing appears. No object. Just like light in deep space, black, nothing. Or something appears. These are the only two possibilities. That there is something that can be experienced or there is nothing. These are the only two possibilities. Now look at our own lives. The only experiences we have are, one is something appears, waking and dreaming. And the other one is nothing appears, deep sleep. So both of these possibilities we are experiencing. What else could Brahman do? Poor Brahman, you're asking why all of these things are appearing. Brahman can do only two things. Appear as this universe or not appear at all. And that's what it's doing. It's appearing as this universe and sometimes not appearing at all. Every day in our deep sleep, no appearance. And in the entire cosmic cycle, when the universe is, we say creation, existence and dissolution of the universe. When the universe is dissolved, no appearance at all. Brahman alone exists with the power of Maya. And again something appears. Anyway, that was the answer I gave. Here we have, so what have we got so far? We are this one consciousness which is the witness of the entire waking experience, the entire dream experience and the entire deep sleep experience. Already here we have taken a very big step forward. Notice, all our problems are problems with the world outside or problems with the body, or ultimately all problems are problems in the mind. If I am not the world, everybody realizes I am this flower, I am not the flower, I am the experiencer of the flower. But I am not even the body, because I continue to exist in dreams, watching the dreams where I am not experiencing this body. So if your experience continues without experiencing the physical body, then at least in principle we must agree that we are not inextricably connected to the physical body. Do you see this great truth? Why we don't see it is we have convinced ourselves we are the body. After all, dreams are what? We lie down, We don't see anything. The body sort of goes into a semi-comatose state, and inside the body some dreaming is going on. But we are still the body. But that you are seeing, you are already taken for granted that we are the body. But this is not true to our experience. In dreams, do we experience I am lying on the bed and dreaming? No, you couldn't dream then. So our experience continues without reference to the physical body. I know it's different from the way we think. I remember one Swami in Calcutta University, he was giving this waking, dreaming, deep sleep. He said, in deep sleep, the usual Vedantic thing, in deep sleep there is no external world, there is no body, there is no mind. And somebody exasperated, he was a professor of physiology, he asked a question, what are you saying? Nonsense. What do you mean there is no body in deep sleep? I can see the fellow sleeping and snoring. What do you mean there is no body in deep sleep? You can see the fellow sleeping and snoring from your objective point of view. What is that person experiencing? Advaita Vedanta says, stay close to your experience. What exactly are you experiencing? Don't assume from outside. In your own deep sleep experience, you never see your body sleeping on the bed and snoring. Somebody said that's why it's called sound sleep. It makes a lot of sound. So from your point of view, consciousness continues, but body is not part of your experience anymore. You lose sight of the physical body. And more amazingly, maybe some people more disturbingly, as we go from dream into deep sleep, if we accept that deep sleep is also an experience, then it's an experience without any experience of body, world and mind also. That means I can continue to experience but without reference to the mind. That means I am not stuck to the mind also. Our identity is body identity, mind identity, body mind. Here it's interesting, the Buddhists, so the study which I am doing right now, when they say, no, it's not about self, not about pure consciousness. There is no self. That is the thing you have to realize. What do you mean there is no self? If you actually look closely at the Buddhist teachings, what we consider to be the self are what they call the 5 aggregates, the skandhas, the 5 aggregates. Very close to Vedantic, the 5 sheaths, Panchakosha, very close to that. None of them are the self. That is what is meant by the Buddhist no self. Exactly the same teaching as Advaita Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta also says the 5 koshas or the 5 skandhas are not the self. If you stop there, it becomes Buddhism. One more step, to whom or to what are they appearing? Among the 5 aggregates, there is one, see how language plays a problem, makes a problem. One of the 5 aggregates is called the consciousness aggregate, Vijnana Skandha. And that is not the self. Now if you look at the language on paper, Buddhism says consciousness is not the self. Advaita says consciousness is the self. So they are different. No, what Advaita means by consciousness is not that one. That consciousness is the consciousness in the mind. Thinking, feeling, talking, understanding, Vijnana. And that is not the self. Advaita is quite clear about that. How can that be the self when without all of that you still say, I experience a blankness in deep sleep? That is not there in deep sleep. So this is a very profound analysis. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep. If you go a little deeper, what he has done is, there are 3 levels of our existence. A physical level, in many of our books is translated, Stula, Sanskrit is translated as gross. So gross in American English means something else nowadays. So there is a physical level, and that's the body and the world. There is a subtle level, the mind, thoughts, feelings, emotions, the person inside. And there is something called the causal level, the darkness which we experience in deep sleep without body and mind. And what Shankara has said here is, you are not this physical level, the body. You are not even the subtle level, the mind. You are not even that causal level which you experience in deep sleep. Beyond physical, subtle, causal. In Sanskrit, Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Vyatirikta Atma. A consciousness shining upon this. Now that consciousness is free of the troubles of the body. It can't get the flu. Consciousness doesn't get the flu. No. I am overweight. Which I? Consciousness is overweight? No. Physical body. It's right there in our experience. We don't see it. We mix it up. In Hindi, I don't know, how many of you understand Hindi? Oh, so many understand Hindi. Okay, and for those of you who do not, I do not understand Hindi, I'll translate. Because the words, I've heard it in very simple Hindi, but very powerful. One monk who was teaching Vedanta in the Himalayas when I was there, he put it very beautifully. जिसका जो स्थान है उसको वहीं पर रहने दो. Then you will be free. The thing, where a thing belongs, keep it there. So when the body belongs to the physical level, you do not belong to the physical level. Don't mix it up. Don't bring the body up to your level. I am the body. No. It's physical, let it be physical. And all the phenomena associated with the body are physical. Let them remain at the physical level. Don't put it upon yourself. Mental. What is mental? Let it remain at the mental level. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, desires, memories. One person was feeling bad, I'm losing my memories. Elderly gentleman, is 95. I said, you are the witness, unchanged witness of the sharp memory, the keen memory. Now you are watching the memory slow down, unable to recover. Remember, you are the same consciousness. You are not the failing memory. And he said, I feel so free thinking about it. Okay, let it work. But as long as it works, it works. And consciousness in its own place. Don't put the consciousness at the physical level. I am the body. No. I am the mind. No. Body and mind are there at their level. Now, a great question comes. That, all right, I am the consciousness, not the physical body, not the mind, not even the causal level, the deep sleep level. I am the consciousness which is an experience or the witness of all of this. Very good. Body can get old. I don't get old. The mind can slow down. The mind can be depressed. Mind can be unhappy. I am the witness of the unhappy mind, but I am not unhappy. It may sound strange to say such things, but actually it works. Simple. Just this thing. I am unhappy. Somebody comes and says. Ask that person, were you always unhappy from your birth? Every moment of your life unhappy? No. Sometimes you are happy? Yes. That person who was happy and this person who is unhappy, are they the same person? Yes. Then how can the person be either happy or unhappy? Happiness has come and gone, unhappiness has come and gone. If you were inextricably tied to unhappiness, you would be unhappy all the time. But unhappiness is no part of you. You shine upon the unhappiness in the mind and you say, oh, here is unhappiness. You don't say that. You say, I am unhappy. The person says, actually I'm translating again from Hindi to English. Actually Hindi is very funny. The person said to the monk, no, but I am both. That's the kind of argument we'll give. No, I'm both. Sometimes happy, sometimes unhappy. And in Hindi the monk said, kabhi gadha, kabhi gao. Sometimes a cow, sometimes an ass. No, logically it's impossible. So unhappiness of the mind or happiness of the mind is integrally no part of the witness consciousness. This witness consciousness which is free of the problems of the body and the mind. Now 2 questions. Let's say 1 question now. Let's take up 1 question. How many such witness consciousnesses are there? Here there are 400 people, at least 400 bodies. That we know because we can count. Swami has counted. So 400 bodies are there. How many minds are there? You'll say around 400. How do you know? You can't count the minds. Yes, but You have the psychology department at Berkeley University, they'll come with questionnaire, ask you questions, same question, different people will get different answers, preferences, thoughts, opinions, opinion poll. So many different points of view, so many opinions, so many ideas, which means different minds. Our minds are also different. 400 bodies, 400 minds, how many consciousnesses? 1 or 400? If you say each of us is separate consciousness, separate body, agreed. Separate mind, agreed. Each of us is a separate witness consciousness. If you say you are a Sankhya philosophy, ancient Sankhya philosophy, they say each conscious being is separate. Yes, free of the problems of the body, free of the problems of the mind, but separate from each other. If you say no, one consciousness in all beings, then it is Vedanta. Krishna says in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he is talking to Arjuna. He uses two terms, field and knower of the field. Kshetra, kshetragya. Field and knower of the field. What is the field? The body is the field. And who is the knower of the field? Consciousness which knows this body. Body means physical body and subtle body, mind. Body and mind is the field, and you are the knower of the field, the one who knows this body. How many such knowers of the field? How many fields are there? Billions. How many knowers of the field are there? Krishna says in the second verse of 13th chapter, Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. O Arjuna, in all these fields, there is only one knower of the field. And that's me. Krishna says that I am that knower of the field. Actually, he has answered two questions here. One is, how many consciousnesses are there? He says one. And the second question is, here you are talking about body, mind, consciousness. If somebody asks, here you are in a church, you are a monk, you are a religious figure. What about God? You have not mentioned God once. Krishna says, there is one consciousness shining in all bodies and minds, and that is God. I am that one consciousness in all bodies and minds. We are all united in that one divinity which shines through our minds, our senses, our bodies. Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. And that Shankaracharya here says in the second line, Ya brahmadi pipilikanta tanushu prota jagat sakshini. There is one consciousness, not only in this body and this mind, but the same consciousness shining through all bodies and minds, not only through all human beings, from the highest God, Prajapati Brahma in the Hindu pantheon, down to the tiniest ant crawling on the ground. One consciousness. Bodies are many, minds are many, but one consciousness shining through all of them. That is the conception of God in Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. Brahmadi pipilikanta tanushu, from Brahma to the little ant, Proda, which is shining in and through. And a beautiful word he uses, Jagat Sakshini, and in the feminine gender, she who is the witness of the entire universe, of the world. Well, great. What about me? Saivaham, I am that. You are that consciousness. Somebody might say here, but you are quoting the Gita. Can you prove it to us through reason that we are one consciousness? Think about it. Why should we not be one consciousness? We can prove that you are not one body, because bodies are different. You can count them. You can even prove that we are not one mind, because what you know, she does not know. What she knows, he does not know. So knowledge is different, minds are different. But all difference can be accounted for by difference of body and difference of mind. Why would you say consciousness is different? The objects reflecting light are different. But does that make light different? No. So pure consciousness is one and the same, shining through every body and mind. That's the reasoning. Think about it. Of course, the Sankhyans don't give up so easily. They will give a number of reasons to say why consciousness is different in every body. Let me give you one or two of the reasons and I will stop at this point. Objection. No, not only bodies are different, not only minds are different, consciousness is also different. Why? Very nice objection. You can immediately answer the objections now. One objection is, when one is awake, another is sleeping. You can see in the class. There was this story about somebody giving a talk, and he saw one lady was dozing off, and her daughter was sitting next to her. And he said, "Hey, wake up your mother." And the daughter said, "You put her to sleep. Why should I wake her up?" So here's the question. How can consciousness be the same? One is awake and another is sleeping next to that person. How is consciousness the same? What will be the answer? Waking and sleeping does not depend on consciousness. Here the mind is awake, here the mind is sleeping. That's all. Body is awake, body is sleeping. That's all. Another question, an objection. One is dead, another is living. How can the consciousness be the same? Answer? It's the body which is, exactly. It's the body which is living, another place, the body has died. Consciousness remains the same. Another more difficult question, objection. One person is enlightened, another person is not enlightened. How can the consciousness be the same? Enlightenment is not in Brahman or Atman or consciousness. Enlightenment and lack of enlightenment is in the mind. Yeah. So, all these ancient Sankhyan objections we can easily answer now. That consciousness I am, not this physical body, not drishya vastu, no object. But I just say one thing and before I conclude today. The body is an object. Just a few months back, a doctor wrote to me from Edinburgh saying that for decades I have been examining bodies, and just recently I had a stunning epiphany, a stunning realization. I was looking at the scans of some patient's body and I thought, this is not that patient. This is the body, it's a thing. When I look at the scans of my body, I say, this is a thing. It's just a thing like this. It's a thing. It's not me. I am not this thing is not me. Now, for him it was a stunning realization because he has been dealing with this for decades and decades. But it's a powerful eye-opener to him that this thing which I can scan and look at every little detail, I can examine it, it's a thing. It's an object, a very complicated, powerful thing. But it's not me. This strong intuition he got. And he wrote a long email to me about it. This is what Shankaracharya says. I am that one consciousness which shines through all beings, shines through my waking, dreaming and deep sleep. Never an object like the body. The one who has this firm clarity, this firm realization, such a one is my Guru. Be that one a Chandala or a Brahmin or whoever. Now you think that only one verse today, how are we ever going to complete 5 verses? But don't worry, this is the real foundation. The other 4 we will glide through happily tomorrow. Thank you very much and good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Swami Sarvapriyananda, for beautiful, enlightening speech. And we have heard 2 verses this evening, and another 3 verses we will listen to tomorrow. So tomorrow at 7:30 we will have Sarvapriyananda's lecture in the same hall here. So thank you, welcome you all to attend this lecture, and we hope that tomorrow you will bring your friends, family and acquaintances to listen to this beautiful concept of Advaita. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.